Imagine the Roman world at the turn of the 4th century, an empire at its peak, a civilization vast in scope and magnificent in its monuments, its armies, its power over millions of lives. Yet beneath its surface, beneath the veneer of order and control, there is unease. New movements stir, new voices rise, and one of those voices belongs to a Christian bishop named Erasmus of Formia. His story is one of defiance, endurance, and suffering so extreme that even hardened Roman executioners were shaken. A story of a man who, in the year 303 AD, stood unbroken against the might of Rome itself. This is not simply a tale of cruelty or death, but a tale of conviction, of faith against tyranny, of a human spirit pushed to the furthest edge and refusing to yield. The world of Diocletian's empire was one of grandeur and iron discipline. Diocletian ruled as more than a man. He was the embodiment of Rome's divinity on earth, and his edicts carried the weight of gods. In his mind, the empire endured because the gods favored it, and the gods demanded worship. When Christians refused to burn incense to Jupiter or call the emperor divine, it was not seen as a private act of faith, but as treason. Treason against the state, against the gods, against the eternal order of Rome. In 303, the emperor decreed the Great Persecution. Churches were to be demolished, sacred texts destroyed, clergy imprisoned, and those who would not sacrifice would face punishment and death. For Erasmus, bishop of the coastal town of Formia in southern Italy, these decrees were not abstract orders. They were death warrants. He was no rebel commander, no warrior raising a sword. He was a shepherd of his flock, a man known for his fiery sermons and compassion for the poor. Yet that made him dangerous because his authority came not from Caesar, but from Christ. Arrested and dragged before the Roman governor, Erasmus faced the ultimatum that so many Christians of his time heard: sacrifice to the gods or die. The courtroom is imagined in silence, torches flickering against marble walls, guards armored in iron, and the governor's voice cold and commanding. Erasmus of Formia, you are charged with defying the sacred decrees of Rome. Burn incense before Jupiter, honor the gods of the empire, and your life will be spared. Refuse, and you will suffer the fate of traitors. And Erasmus replies, steady and unafraid, I worship the Lord Jesus Christ and him alone. I cannot bow to false gods nor offer incense to lifeless idols. The governor's face hardens. Such defiance cannot be tolerated. The punishment begins with scourging. Erasmus is stripped, tied to a post, and beaten with rods until his flesh opens, blood splattering the stones. The crowd murmurs, some pitying, others jeering. Then come whips tipped with iron hooks, designed to rip skin away with each lash. Witnesses describe his body torn and broken, but his voice rises above the lashes in prayer. The governor orders more. He is dragged to a great vat of oil, heated until it bubbles and spits. Soldiers push him toward it, the steam hissing upward, the crowd gasping in anticipation of instant death. He is cast in, and yet, according to the story preserved by the church, Erasmus stands unharmed. Instead of screams, hymns are heard. The Lord is my light and my salvation, he chants, the flames licking but not consuming him. The people recoil, some fall to their knees. The governor, humiliated, turns his face away. News spreads quickly. The man who should have been boiled alive lives. Erasmus is thrown into fetid prisons, starved, shackled, beaten. Guards taunt him, saying, "Where is your Christ now?" And he replies quietly, "He is here with me in the darkness, closer than your chains." Time after time, Erasmus emerges alive. In the arena, he is set before lions, leopards, bears. The gates open, beasts roar, and the crowd rises in excitement. Yet as they approach him, the animals grow strangely calm, circling but refusing to attack. One lion even lies at his feet, and Erasmus lays a hand upon its mane as if blessing it. The people whisper, "A miracle," while the governor shouts, "Trickery!" But the beast will not kill him. The torments grow worse. His skin is clawed with iron, his beard set alight, his nails torn out, his body stretched upon the rack until bones crack. His tormentors jeer, "Still you cling to your God?" Erasmus answers, "I do not cling. He carries me days stretch into weeks, weeks into months. Each time he survives, the story spreads further, until Erasmus is no longer just a prisoner, but a living testimony against the empire. To the faithful, his endurance is proof of divine power. To the authorities, it is a humiliation that cannot be allowed to continue. And so the final cruelty is prepared. Erasmus is brought before a massive windlass, a machine normally used to raise anchors or cargo from the holds of ships, but now it will serve as an instrument of death. He is bound, his abdomen cut open, and before a silent crowd, his intestines are slowly wound out of his body, wrapped around the turning drum. The pain is unimaginable, each turn drawing life from him inch by inch. Soldiers avert their eyes. Even the executioner hesitates, muttering under his breath, "This is no death fit for men." Erasmus, gasping, whispers prayers. "Lord, into your hands I commend my spirit." As the machine turns, his voice falters, then falls silent. His body is broken. His spirit remains unbroken. The crowd disperses in horror, yet those who witnessed speak of it for generations. A bishop who endured fire, beasts, iron, and finally a death so grotesque that Rome's cruelty was laid bare. His blood becomes the seed of veneration. Within decades, Erasmus is honored as a saint. His relics are carried to churches, his name invoked by sailors who adopt him as their patron. They tell of mysterious blue flames flickering on masts during storms, a phenomenon we call Saint Elmo's fire. To them, it is his presence, a sign of protection, a reminder that even in the darkest tempest, faith is a light. Artists paint him with the windlass, intestines wound upon it, a grisly yet powerful symbol. He becomes one of the 14 holy helpers of medieval devotion, called upon in times of plague, famine, and peril. His cult spreads from Italy to Spain, from Germany to the seas of the north. The empire that killed him crumbles into dust, but his name endures. And what are we to make of this story today? Historians debate. Did he truly survive boiling oil? Did beasts truly bow to him? Were these literal miracles or legends woven to inspire? We cannot be certain where history ends and hagiography begins. Yet what is certain is the message his story carried and still carries, that faith can withstand empire, that conviction can endure cruelty, that a single man's refusal to bend can echo louder than the decrees of emperors. Imagine the silence of that final moment. A man, his life spilling away on a Roman machine, praying with his last breath. Around him, soldiers and crowds who thought they would see a man broken instead saw a man who could not be broken. Imagine centuries later, sailors in storms, seeing a mysterious blue glow on their masts, whispering, "Saint Erasmus is with us." His courage outlasted Rome. His suffering became symbol. His story became legend. Nearly 2,000 years later, we tell it still, not because of the cruelty of Rome, though that is undeniable, but because of the endurance of one human soul. Saint Erasmus of Formia, who faced lash, flame, beasts, and the windlass, who defied the emperor, who suffered to the end and yet triumphed in memory, remains a name that glows like a light against the darkness of history. The palaces of Rome lie in ruins. Its emperors are forgotten, but the memory of Erasmus remains and will remain as long as human beings look for courage in the face of power and faith in the shadow of death. The Roman Empire in the early 4th century was at the height of its power, stretching from the misty coasts of Britain to the deserts of Egypt, from the snowy ridges of the Alps to the fertile valleys of Syria. Its legions patrolled roads paved in stone, its emperors were worshipped like gods, and its laws ruled over millions of lives. But beneath the marble and might, a new faith was rising, quiet yet defiant. Christianity had spread from obscure gatherings in Judea to the households of Rome itself. To the old order, it was a threat, not because Christians wielded swords, but because they refused to bow, refused to sacrifice, refused to treat the emperor as divine. And so, when Emperor Diocletian decreed in 303 AD that churches must be burned, scriptures destroyed, clergy imprisoned, the full weight of Rome turned against these stubborn followers of Christ. One of them was a bishop named Erasmus of Formia, and his story is one of the most brutal, most tortured, and yet most enduring testimonies of faith ever recorded. Imagine a courtroom in southern Italy, its walls lined with torches, Roman officials in crimson cloaks gathered in judgment. Into this chamber Erasmus is dragged, his wrists bound in iron, his beard unkempt, his robe torn from earlier beatings. The governor sits high on a dais, his voice sharp as he declares, "Erasmus of Formia, you stand accused of defying the sacred decrees of Rome. You have refused to honor the gods, refused to honor the emperor. Burn incense before Jupiter, and you shall live. Refuse, and your life will end here." The room falls silent. Erasmus, weary but unbroken, raises his head. His voice is calm, unwavering. "I will never bow to lifeless idols. I worship the Lord Jesus Christ and Him alone. My life is His to command, not yours to take." Gasps ripple through the crowd. The governor slams his staff in anger. "Then you shall suffer as none have suffered before." The punishment begins with scourging. Soldiers strip Erasmus to the waist, tie him to a post. Rods crash against his back, then whips tipped with iron hooks tear into his flesh. The sound is sickening, the crack of leather, the rip of skin, the groan forced through clenched teeth. Blood splatters the stone floor. Some in the crowd turn their faces away, others lean forward, morbidly fascinated. Through it all, Erasmus whispers prayers. "Father, give me strength. Christ, do not abandon me." The governor leans forward, watching for signs of surrender, but none come. Erasmus does not recant. Humiliation drives the cruelty further. A great vat is filled with oil, heated until it bubbles and spits. Steam rises, carrying with it a stench of smoke and fat. The soldiers drag Erasmus to the rim, shove him forward. He falls into the seething cauldron. The crowd expects instant death. A man boiled alive, flesh sloughing from bone. But what they see is something else entirely. Instead of screams, a voice rises from the cauldron, psalms chanted through the haze of steam. Erasmus stands unburned, his hands raised in prayer. "The Lord is my strength and my song. He has become my salvation." The crowd recoils in shock, whispers spreading like wildfire. "A miracle! A miracle!" The governor's face contorts with rage. "Sorcery!" he spits. But the miracle cannot be undone. Erasmus is pulled from the cauldron alive. He is thrown into prison, starved for days, beaten by guards who mock him. "Where is your Christ now, Bishop? Does he feed you? Does he break your chains?" Erasmus answers softly, "He is with me even here." You cannot starve the soul word spreads of his endurance. The governor decides on a spectacle. The arena gates creak open. Lions roar from their cages. Leopards pace. Bears snarl. Erasmus is led out into the sand. Weak but standing tall, the beasts are released. The crowd rises to its feet, anticipating blood. The lion charges, then halts, lowering its head as if bowing. The leopard circles but does not strike. The bear growls, then lies down at his feet. Silence falls. Some whisper in awe, others murmur in fear. The governor grips his chair, knuckles white. "This is trickery," he mutters, but the beasts refuse to harm him. Now the cruelty becomes inventive. His fingernails are torn out one by one, his beard set aflame, his skin clawed with iron rakes until strips hang loose from his body. He is stretched on the rack, joints cracking under pressure, screams forced from his throat. Yet in every pause, he prays, "Christ, you endured the cross. Give me strength to endure this," his tormentors sneer. But unease grows among them. Each time they expect him broken, he survives. Each time they think the flame of his faith extinguished, it burns brighter. Finally, the Romans prepare a death that no one could survive. In the public square stands a massive windlass, a machine of wood and iron normally used to haul anchors from the depths. Erasmus is dragged before it, his body a ruin of scars and burns. The governor stands, his voice hard as stone. "You have defied Rome, mocked our gods, and spat upon the emperor. You will die here, and your death will serve as a warning to all who follow you." The executioners cut into his abdomen. The crowd gasps as they begin to wind his intestines onto the drum. Slowly, methodically, turn by turn. The agony is beyond comprehension. Erasmus groans, his hands clutching at the air, yet even now he prays. Into your hands, O Lord, I commend my spirit. His voice grows weaker, his body slackening with each turn of the windlass, until finally it is still. The crowd disperses in silence, many too horrified to speak. Even the executioners wipe sweat from their brows, shaken by what they have done. A man dismantled before their eyes, yet never truly defeated. Word spreads quickly. Erasmus' courage becomes legend. To the faithful, he is no longer merely a bishop, but a martyr, a man who endured torments that should have broken him, yet clung to his faith until the very end. His relics are gathered, his memory preserved. Within decades, he is venerated as a saint. Sailors adopt him as their protector, telling of strange blue flames that dance upon ship masts in storms. They call it Saint Elmo's fire, a sign of Erasmus' presence, a light in the darkness, a reminder of endurance. Through the centuries, his image appears in paintings, always with the windlass, intestines wound around it, a grim yet powerful symbol of his martyrdom. He becomes one of the 14 holy helpers, called upon in times of plague and peril. His story spreads through Europe, carried by pilgrims, whispered by sailors, remembered by the faithful. Today, historians ask, how much of this is literal history and how much legend? Did he truly survive boiling oil? Did beasts bow at his feet? Or were these tales crafted to inspire courage among the persecuted? The line between fact and faith blurs, but what is undeniable is the message carried through the centuries, that conviction can outlast empire, that faith can withstand fire, that courage can echo louder than cruelty. The empire that condemned him lies in ruins, its emperors forgotten, its palaces dust. But the name of Erasmus lives on. Nearly 2,000 years later, sailors still speak of Saint Elmo's fire. Churches still bear his relics. His story is told not because of the brutality of Rome, but because of the endurance of one man. A man who faced lash, flame, beasts, and the windlass, who prayed with his last breath, who turned his suffering into defiance. Saint Erasmus of Formia remains a light in history, flickering like the fire that bears his name, a reminder that even in the face of unimaginable cruelty, the human spirit can refuse to break.